Hello,
Okay.
I'm Amanda Peralta with Mav Media at James Madison High School. This is 20 Minutes of the Pro, and we're here with Missy Mansour, who works in TV production. So, would you please tell us a little bit about yourself and like what you do in your job or what your position title is?
Yes, I am a producer for television, also known as a line producer is my type of my role. And I work for a show that's on Disney Plus and produced by CBS Studios.
So, what exactly is a line producer?
So that's a good question. You might notice when you look at the credits of movies and TV, there seems to be 10,000 producers, and you're kind of like, what do all these people do? There's several different types. Some of them work on the writing side, and they, usually get writing and producing credit. Some of them work on the directing side. They'll usually be a director producer. Some of them are cast members. And the line producer, which is what I do, is the person that kind of deals with the puzzle, I like to call it, of the schedule and the budget and getting the cast, the information that they need, and finding the locations that we need to shoot the show, and finding the stages and putting the crew together. So it's a little bit more of the logistical element of filming, but I like it because I like the puzzle of trying to make everything work.
Yeah.
And also, it is somewhat creative in that you have to really figure out how to stretch the dollar and figure out how, when you don't have enough to be, at the Ritz, how you can make a motel look like the Ritz in dressing it differently, lighting it differently, adding some trees out front, to make it look cool. And that's the job of the production designer, but we work hand in hand.
So, how long are you usually on set, like in a given day?
Typically a standard day in this industry is 12 hours of shooting. Generally we'll have a 7:00 crew call, which is just, I think, typical I think it dates back to a lot of old DGA rules and things like that, which I won't get into, but I think it's just better on traffic. In LA, it's hard to get anywhere after 8:00. So everyone, comes in early. We start at 7. We start to, get the cast ready, rehearse, roll the cameras, and then we're usually done around 7-ish, but it kind of depends what we're shooting. And then the dramas, shows that have stunts or special effects, they can sometimes be shooting up to 15, 16 hours or worse, but those are isolated incidents, I think.
So, how long have you been in the production world?
I have been out here. I'm from Texas, San Antonio originally.
Really?
Went to school at UT for my radio, TV, film degree, and came out here and did an internship program.
Mm-hmm.
And then I stayed out here. So I've been out here for about 10 years. So, and I've been producing for 4.
So, what shows have you recently worked on with Disney Plus and like CBS?
This is my first show with both, with Disney Plus and with CBS. Disney Plus is a newer streaming network, and so they have very few original shows. So this was one of the first. It's called Diary of a Future President. And it's awesome, and you guys should all watch. There's a season out already. But I've worked with Fox and ABC, Disney, Warner Brothers. I've done the last series that I worked on for 6 seasons was called Fresh Off the Boat for ABC, and that was a great story of an Asian family kind of fish out of water scenario that had moved here from Taiwan, based off a book, and that was great. And then I worked on a show called The Neighbors for ABC and Heart of Dixie for the CW and Warner Brothers, and a smattering of pilots and other shows that didn't go for very long in between them.
So on all those shows, were there any cast members from those that you were like surprised to be working with or excited to be working with?
We did shoot a pilot once that Lil Wayne wound up kind of on set one day, and he was sort of a last minute ad because at the time he was dating Christina Milian, and she was one of the main characters in the show. And so that was very interesting. I'm a big fan of rap and hip hop music, and that was awesome for me. I've worked with Shaq. I've worked with Kobe Bryant. Was obviously, I should have started with that. That was an incredible day when we got to work with him. I've worked with some really cool people, and none of them really surprise me. It surprises me when we can get them because a lot of them are very busy. But they've all been super professional and awesome, and they're all a joy to work with, honestly. I haven't worked with anybody. There are horror stories that, you know, I'm sure some are true, but I haven't worked with anybody that's just been a complete nightmare yet, so I've been fortunate.
Do you have any funny stories from working with any of them, or anything that like just stands out to you that you can think of?
Shaq wanted to pick everybody up over his head. So we have video footage of him with a circle of writers behind him, like lifting them over his head like this. And he was a ham. He was in 3 episodes of Fresh Off the Boat, and he was hilarious and really fun. And yeah, that's probably one of the biggest standout episodes. There's a ton more, but I'm on the spot. I think that was probably one of the most funny. I worked with Carrot Top one day, and it was interesting. He walked into the production office kitchen behind me and asked where the director was, and I kind of did a double take because I didn't expect him to come in. But I think the most interesting thing that you'll find is that they're just people, and you know, they want to talk to you just like a person and be talked to like a person, and you know, you'd be interested to see how friendly they are.
So what made you realize that you wanted to get into this line of work, or was it something you've always kind of known you wanted to get to eventually?
I always knew that I liked entertaining people, and when I went to school for it at UT, I was not sure where I fit in the puzzle because I knew I wasn't sure if I wanted to act. I knew I didn't want to direct. I knew I wasn't really interested in writing because I didn't like the process of having to edit and change and edit and change, and I didn't want to edit because I didn't like that process either. And on one of the first projects I worked on, it was kind of, I chose producer. I spoke up when they said that, but it was also kind of like the only thing left because everyone else was so like strong and wanting to direct or wanting to act or wanting to do this or that. And I loved it, and I was good at it, and I was like, oh, this is what it is. It's just, you know, getting these groups together and making it organized and, you know, helping to put things together, but not having to commit to any one specific area. I love that. So it kind of gives me a chance to be in every different department, but not have to be the one that is ultimately the deciding factor.
So would you mind explaining like what exactly the schooling you did was at UT?
So, you know, it's an undergrad program, so it's not like a full-on film school program. So the first couple years were all the normal prerequisite courses, you know, and then it kind of got into exploring the industry, and I did take some writing classes and some directing classes, and they have a different curriculum based off what you want to do. You know, I took some producing classes. They have a production design class that's also very good, and helps to kind of open your eyes to what it takes to be a designer on a show. And that was really good for me to understand from a producing standpoint, because it's easy for me to just come in and say, why can't we do this differently? And, you know, the designer might say, there's several other reasons why this is like this. And, you know, because if the camera's shooting up here, we need a ceiling piece or something to see, or, you know, you'll have reflections in the glass, so we didn't put a window here or whatever. So yeah, the classes at UT are kind of all over the place, and you can pick and choose what speaks most strongly to the curriculum of the path that you want to follow. And I think, you know, if you wanted to write or direct coming out of that, coming off of that degree from UT, I think you would find yourself needing to do some more classes and join some other groups and learn from people that are in the industry doing it, because that's always the most helpful way to do it.
So what would you advise a student to start doing now if they wanted to get into your similar position?
I would have them start researching the programs at the different schools and kind of try to explore the different jobs and see what it is that speaks to them most. I would advise them to try and find a way to visit a set if they can, even if that's your local news station. See how the cameras are set up, see where they do hair and makeup, and see how they prep beforehand. I did that when I was in college. I interned at a news station, and that was really helpful too. I worked at one of the radio stations too. That was also a very good experience and very good exposure again to putting pitch decks and packets together for vendors and for advertisers, and that was super helpful. But yeah, I mean, getting out here and doing it and exposing yourself is the biggest thing that's going to help you. You can read about it and take classes and watch movies as much as you want, but until you start doing things, you're never going to know what you yourself need to do to apply yourself to the job.
So what are one or two things that you really enjoy in your line of work, or that your favorite things to do?
I like the times when we don't have a location that we need and we have to go and find a way to turn something else into that location. So for instance, this season is very tough with the pandemic and everything, and normally we shoot on stage, we shoot long hours, we're in a very enclosed environment, there's tons of people sitting right on top of each other, right next to each other, and so having to find a way to do that differently is going to be extremely challenging this year. We are 3 weeks out from beginning our first episode, and I just came from a meeting, and that was one of our biggest conversations, and that was something that I had to tell people during the meeting, which was, you guys need to spread out a little bit. And so retraining people to work a different way is going to be a fun challenge. But like I said, again, because of the pandemic, we're not going to be able to go to locations as much, because that means we have to, in an area that we might normally be able to shoot while other people were there, now we have to completely clear it out. You can't be there when there's other people there. We have a lot of kids. It changes the requirements and how we clean it both before and after being there. So we have to get really creative with what we shoot around our stages, outside, putting walls up, constructing something in a parking lot to make it look like you're somewhere else. So those are the things that I really enjoy.
So what's one of the most surprising things about working in industry that people don't really think about or realize that you do?
I think there's probably a lot of people that don't realize how long it takes to make a film or a TV show. It's countless hours, it's countless meetings, countless discussions.
Scene or episode that's really stuck with you, like in all of the TV shows or anything you've worked in?
Yeah, there's a couple of them. I always like the scenes. I've done shows that have adults and are a little bit more dramatic and a little bit more intimate, and I've done scenes with kids that are goofy, and I like to see those worlds kind of combining.
Musicals. Shaq, Tolstoy, Blink, investments. Hanging with Mr. Cooper. Can't watch TV on Fridays because of Shabbat. Hanging with God. Stinky tofu. Gefilte fish. Stinky tofu sounds repulsive. We don't like each other, do we? I find your company undesirable.
I love the scenes where we have a really heartfelt moment between the kid cast members and their adult cast parents, or other adult siblings or something on the show, or something that kind of shows the character growing during and within the scene. And those always stick with me. One, because they're always sweet, charming moments, but two, personally, on a personal level, it makes me so proud to see, these kids that we goof around with when we're not shooting and they're in school and they have their own personalities, and to see them be able to really focus on this character to get the kind of pull on your heartstrings moment is really cool to see. It's like watching, your own kid grow up and do something really cool, and you're just kind of stunned by them. And then on the flip side of that is to see their adult counterparts kind of reacting to them on camera, or giving them something on camera that they can react to. And that's really cool to see too, because it's like, obviously they're not their real parent. And in some cases, some of these adults don't even have their own kids, but they kind of click into this mode where they're just acting and their family, and it works, and it's awesome. And you can get that, I think, in any type of show.
Eddie, stop spitting to your hands. Here's some money for souvenirs and snacks.
Why are you giving it to Philip?
Oh, honey, because I trust him more. So I'm going to put most of the blame on you, not because I want to, but for legal purposes.
Oh, well, I got to the front of the merchandise line and you weren't back. But then I realized it was nightfall. Shabbat was over.
I thought that ended at midnight.
I'm a devout Jew, not Cinderella. You were supposed to go to the concert with me. Yeah, I didn't want to do that.
You just left him?
What we do here is go
Philip,
back,
you should be
back,
ashamed of yourself. Eddie gave up going to his concert to look for you, and you broke your promise to him. You are very selfish. You are not a good Chinese boy. Eddie is.
Nice, Mom. Now drop the mic and let's go.
Drop the mic. Who is Mike?
Microphone, Mom. It means you were awesome.
I've seen it in comedies, I've seen it in dramas, I've seen it in this show, The Neighbors, that I did, that was about aliens, and at the very end, their spaceship comes down and gets them, and as they leave, the kids, the neighborhood kids are in the street crying, and it sounds so weird, but it's like, it gives you chills, and it like still kind of brings a tear to your eyes. So those are the kinds of things that I like to see play out on screen, because they're special.